Hi, welcome back to part 3 of our Student Society web application project. So in this episode, we're going to look at how we're going to translate our Student Society classes into actual database under using MySQL. So if you remember from the last episode, this is the structure we've decided to adopt in terms of the object-oriented classes. So in the database side, we need to flatten out, meaning that we're not using an object-oriented database. We're using a relational database. So things like this three-class structure, we will not be able to represent directly. So what we'll do is this ID field, we will send it back to both student and society. So if I were to draw the ERD diagram, the ER diagram, the entity relationship diagram, this is how it's going to look like. So you have the primary key of ID for both. You have the other fields for both, and you have some foreign keys here. So society ID is a foreign key. It can be null or it can be non-null. Chairperson ID is another foreign key that can also be null or non-null. All right, so now we're gonna go and create this database. So this is my PHPMyAdmin. So I'm going to create a database. I go to database. I go create. Okay, database name. So before I go to database name, I'm going to call this student underscore society. All right, collation. I've always been using this. All right, and then create. All right, so that's my database. So I'm going to create two tables. So the first table is going to be called student. All right, so number of columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. So 5 columns here. All right, click OK. Obviously, click Go. Right, so the first is going to be ID. I'm going to leave it as integer, leave it default length. I think it's going to be 11. And then it cannot be null. Okay, this is going to be my primary key, so I'm going to choose primary. I just click Go down here. Then I go further to the right. Yes, I need it to be auto-incrementing. Alright, so that's my primary key done. Moving on, I have salutation. So salutation. So this is going to be a var. Well, this is going to be an enum because we're going to limit the options to either Mr. or Miss. Remove the rest. Alright, click Go. So that's now my enum. It cannot be null, so there's nothing else here of interest. Moving on. Next one is full name. Is going to be a varchar. We're going to give it a size of 100. Well, Malaysian names can be very long sometimes. Alright, so anything else here? Not particularly. So if you want, if your database grows and you want some fast searching, might be a good idea to turn index for this so that search will be fast. The downside of that, of course, is going to take up a bit more space on your hard disk, but prices, hard disk price is cheap these days. That's full name. Next, student number. Student number. So it's a varchar again. I don't think it's going to be too long. I think 20 would do. And this one needs to be unique. All right, so I'm going to set the unique. Say go, so that you cannot have two students with the same student number. And again, it cannot be null. Right, I think that's about it for this. And finally, it is the society ID. So society ID. All right. So, by the way, one thing you must remember is you should try and keep all primary keys and foreign keys to be of the same type and of the same length. That's very important. to avoid headaches later on. All right, so remember, same type and same length. So here is empty. I think by default it's 11, which is more than enough. Right, so society ID, okay. Okay, is there anything special about society ID? Well, typically, again, because you are setting relations between tables, so here I'm just creating a single column index. Just go, all right, so that's my foreign key done for student. Okay, now, a student may or may not belong to a society, which means this field can be null. All right, so it can be null. All right, so I think that's about it. Okay, storage engine, I always choose InnoDB so that I can do things like transactions and so on. And I think that'll do it. So, by the way, if you press preview SQL, you actually see the create statement, a create table statement that's going to be sent to the MySQL server in order to create this table. All right, so close. All right, so we save. And all right, so now we have one table. So now we create the other table, the society table. All right, create table society. I usually use lowercase for all table names, and if it's a multi-word table name, use underscore because SQL. So I mean, if you use camel case, it can be confusing because MySQL table names are not case sensitive. So I suggest you guys use underscore if your table name is a multi-word name. All right. Now on the society side, I just need 4 fields, so that's fine. I say go. So the first one is ID. This is the primary key, so primary go auto increment. Next is name type. So name. So name is going to be a varchar. Oh, name society. I don't think it's going to be particularly long. Maybe I'll put 50. Again, it's probably going to be used for searching and all that, so I'll just index it. Can it be null? No, of course it cannot be null. Next is type. So type is an enum. Enum, right? Okay, so the enum is either uniform or club. All right, uniform or club. All right, so that's done. It cannot be null. And then finally, the chairperson ID, chairperson ID. So this is going to be our foreign key, so I should be able to index it. And it can be null. So in other words, the society can start off with no chairperson. All right, so I think that's about it. So again, make sure you choose sorry, computer a bit slow. So InnoDB for transaction. Again, you can have a look at the SQL statements that's going to be used to be issued to the MySQL server. Save it. All right, done. So now I have my 2 tables, student and society. All right, so see you in the next part.